take it with us to Israel. Guys calling in right now. Mike from around the world. I need to turn that up. Mike, are you there? Awesome. Hang on a second. I'll let Israel tell me what the sound is like. It sounds good in my ear. I turned him up, Israel. And, huh? Yeah, I got him about the 10 o'clock on about 10. Yeah, I can hear him. You want me to turn him some more? Mike, can you? Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, one more second. I'll turn you up a little more and maybe even. Test, Mike. Let's see. All right, I hear you in one ear. I guess one ear is better than no ears. Yeah, you talk about getting attacked, Mike. It's, we got. I mean, I haven't had a strike. I haven't been hit with a strike from YouTube in over 3 years. Yes, 3 years. Yeah, I'm hearing 1 ear. Is that?
You say that your ears are the first to go.
Well, yeah, that's true, Mike. Let's see. To test Mike. Yeah, I hear him now, both ears. Thank you. All right, Mike. Yep, sounds good, Mike. Here we go. Yeah, we lost the ability to go live on our YouTube channel. Of course, I can still post YouTube videos, but I can't go live until we get that copyright violation removed. It's really strange. It's a very strange copyright. One I haven't seen before. Huh? You can't hear Mike? Okay, they're saying they can't.
So you can hear.
Oh, I hear him very loud and clear. He's coming in hot, but they're saying no volume on Mike. Hang on, Mike. Nope, they can't hear you, although I can hear you in the headphone. Testing. Can you guys hear Mike now?
Hold on a second. Okay, hold on. It's StreamYard. StreamYard is really extremely weird.
All right, Mike, we're going to try to make an adjustment.
Hold on just 1 second.
So I'm sorry about that. Guys, hang on. We'll get Mike on here in just a second. I can hear him, but we don't hear him in the... We are broadcasting at our website tonight at paulbegleyprophecy.com. And we are also on Israel Hall's YouTube channel. And that has caused some trepidation for a lot of people. Mike, let's see.
Hold on a second.
Which box are you plugged in? Are you into this one?
That one, yeah. It's not giving.
I mean, I can turn. You're on Scarlet.
Okay, hold on a second.
You got echo cancellation on here.
That doesn't do anything. Tell you what, plug everything in down here. Replug everything, if you would, please, into your box. There's no option to do 2 channels on this. What's going on?
We'll get it. I'll plug this one in over here. And let's plug that one there. And they'll probably give me a little static, but as long as we can hear him, we'll be okay. All right, Mike, let's try that again.
Can you hear Mike?
Test 1, 2, 3.
Can you hear Mike?
I hear you. Now let's see if they do. What is going on? Everything yeah. On Thursday night, yeah.
All of my menus are going wild. Look at that.
I see that. All right, let's see. Mike. Okay, let's see. Israel, I can hear him. Let's see if they can. We can take the headphones off, guys, and we might do that in a second. Pastor Paul is loud. All right, I'll turn mine down. We'll turn Mike up. Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you guys hear Mike from around the world now? No.
It's so weird that you can hear him in there and it's not carrying through the second channel. They won't allow it to do 2 channels.
All right, let's.
Hold on.
1 second, everybody. Israel will fix it. If it can be, we'll get it. We'll get it. Folks, we'll get Mike on here. We got him right here. We'll get him on in just a second. Wow. So what's next? The stone steps? I mean, are you serious? Okay. I hear you, Mike. Now let me put you over here.
So you see, we're going to use this so I can pick up you and him.
Okay. All right, Mike. Let's see. Can we hear you?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
I think so. I don't know how the volume is. You guys can hear him now.
I hope they can.
Yeah, I think they can hear you now. We'll try to manage it.
I think you see some feedback. Oh, yeah. We
All
see
right.
some yeses.
All right, Mike. So obviously, President Trump has been indicted. CNN says he has to turn himself into the DA department there, to the district attorney in Manhattan by next Tuesday. You said last Thursday night that we were 10 days away, and you're pretty darn close. 8 days today, we get the word that he's been indicted. By Tuesday, it'll be 12 days. He's turned himself on the steps. The key thing is the webinar. You told us that he would be the man that would be escorted down the stone steps. Looks like that's come to pass. Your dream.
Oh, yeah. I was okay earlier, somewhat, but it would have to happen on a Thursday night. Can you imagine that? What are the odds?
What are the odds it happened on a Thursday night? Well, we have over 4,000 people that have made it to Israel Hall's YouTube channel, which is miraculous, but that's only about half of what we normally do. Hopefully there's 2,000 or 3,000 at our website, probably is. So we got most of the people are figuring out how to find us. So, Mike, what next? What next?
Well, I'll tell you what, Pastor Paul, this opens up. This is, of course, in the dream, that was so long ago, right? Because it didn't make sense back then. It's starting to make sense now, but that was a marker. When they escorted him down the stone steps, they even put up the guardrails,
the barricades.
Partitions.
Yeah.
And that is just shocking. But anyway, if he is escorted down the stone steps, that's just the beginning of a very bad breakdown. It really is.
Because you had this
dream.
Right now. Yeah, you had this dream in 2013. And here you've been wondering, is that dream ever going to come to pass? Or is it, maybe I was just dreaming it, and maybe, you had to be agonizing this. Once you saw President Trump elected, did you immediately said, wow?
Oh, yeah. Yep. In fact, and normally I don't touch base in politics and things. I leave that subject alone. But it was one of those moments. It was one of those. Unfortunately, when you have a dream like that, something happens in reality that causes you to remember the entirety of the dream, and you can't really escape it. But knowing the outcome of it, right?
That's the worst part.
As this thing progressed all the way up until today, and not a good situation, especially what comes after.
Right.
Is the heart of the matter.
Folks, we can't share what he said happens after, because if we do, we'll probably lose this channel. But let me just say this. Those of you who watch the webinar, you know the whole story. And those of you who haven't, you can still get the ticket and watch the webinar so that you can know the rest of the dream. But Mike, let's just talk in generality. That dream, the stages of things that happen after you see the President Trump being escorted down the stone steps, do things escalate quickly, or is it a gradual process that all of these traumatic, cataclysmic events start happening?
That is, the dream itself is progressive, stage by stage. It was almost like, kind of like pages flipping, moment to moment to moment to moment. But the outbreak of it was almost exponential. One thing would happen, and then, of course, the bigger things would happen. And before you know it, it was out of control. people, basketball, if that dream comes to pass, people should really, they got to watch their own hearts and minds. They really do. There's a two-part weapon in this thing, period.
When you
People
say, what do you mean? Okay,
will
go
find
ahead.
themselves emotionally compromised in this, right?
Okay.
They could. If this happens, they're going to be emotionally compromised. In that compromise, they have to be careful, right? Because God is still God. Our Savior is still our Savior. And it doesn't matter what happens here on earth. There is no excuse for, giving into such things, because there are going to be some bad actors giving into such things. Yeah. I'm just telling you now, right?
Yeah.
A polarization effect of people is we're going to see that happening. That's the very unfortunate part. It's very unfortunate.
Right now, Mike, I'm watching right now. People are gathering outside of Trump's Mar-a-Lago home in Florida. They're gathering, they're waving the flags, and they're starting the process of supporting him. But do you see this thing? They got the barriers up in New York. Do you think we're going to see demonstration or things going on in New York?
Oh yeah, they're going to be loading. Except as I'll describe the people. I can do that. There were people some people were, angry. I mean, angry, obviously. They were angry. But then you had another group of people who almost seemed to salivate at the mouth over it, right? So you had two types of people there. The unfortunate part, there's a warning for the believer in this. This is something small in comparison to everything that we're about to see. And if people can't hold on to themselves during this time, and they certainly, they can make a difference, basketball, but I doubt they will. The difference would be this: if a person yelling and doing all this stuff, that's not going to accomplish anything, right? Right now, actually, cooler heads, sober heads, but persistent heads, if they prevail, could change a lot. Unfortunately, I didn't see that one happening. That wasn't the case. The case was that polarization. Right now, I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow we wake up and people are loaded in the streets of New York. If those crowds start getting bigger, and protests will begin to happen, right?
Yeah.
Not only protests, but you're talking about this polarization is going to be like a cancer, which moves all over the country. You're already seeing a division of, for Florida to say they're not going to extradite him.
Right.
That's a big statement. That is not a good move in my book, because I'll tell you something. When you have somebody in the legal system, they're under the rule of law, which means they're out of the realm of public opinion, public speech, right?
Yep.
And I believe of all the people who really understand this, Lindsey Graham understands this.
Yeah.
Oh, he understands it big time. And so once he's under that jurisdiction, that's when things go very differently.
But let's talk about this. Ron DeSantis makes the statement in Florida that if Trump doesn't want to go to New York, he will not honor an extradition. He will not extradite him to New York. I'm with you. That's a very scary thing to say, because, first of all, Trump originally said that if he's indicted, he'll go. So maybe that's still what he plans on doing, because I think even President Trump knows that if he don't go, that creates this massive polarization in the country, which is really dangerous. It's going to be already dangerous enough because the emotions are going to be running so high. And let me ask you: do you think in New York, by the time we get there next Tuesday, that there will be thousands of people in the streets protesting against Trump being arrested, but also will there be thousands in the street cheering it on that he is being arrested?
There very well could be. In that dream, I have to go with what I saw. I saw people standing in the streets, and you couldn't make peace with some of the folks out. Listen, some of the folks were done with America, right?
Yeah.
They were just done with this idea of America, because they truly thought that America died. And to be honest with you, the people began to, they were so engulfed by this. They couldn't really do anything else. And of course, big divides happened following that. So that's one of those things we're going to have to watch for next week. It's going to be a very telltale thing.
Does the National Guard get at some point? What is the law? What is the power? The governor of New York, if the governor of New York senses that there will be protesting and counter-protesting going on, and a dangerous situation could develop, is there any authority that the governor of New York has?
Yeah, sure. You can call upon for peacekeeping purposes, right? There's very tricky lines in that. It has to be for peacekeeping purposes. If in fact something so terrible happened that it could really tear apart this city and begin to end lives. But there's also another clause. If this constitutes national security, then the Jade Helm thing will be at play. And this is not going to be contained within one state, but this is going to be, New York is just one place. This is going to begin to erupt in several different places, and people will cause a massive disruption. I just remind everybody that they're being watched, not by man, but by those upstairs, that people really have to watch themselves. You know, people lost control, Pastor Paul. They just absolutely lost control of themselves. A lot of people threw caution to the wind. Some people don't understand how this process will play out. They really don't understand that, so they're going to take the extremist view and begin to do extremist things. Ron DeSantis, for example, he had to say what he said. He had to say that, or his state would have erupted against him.
Yeah.
So he had to kind of base.
So there's a cascading effect going to happen then. Okay, so DeSantis has to be the first one to say, look, if Trump doesn't want to go, he's a former president of the United States. There's never been a president or former president in the history of this republic that's ever been even charged with a crime. This is unbelievable in our nation. And then the fact that the charges, which I just saw, are 30 or 34. They're sealed indictment, but for some reason CNN got to find out that there's 30 to 34 charges. Okay. So having said that, if people feel like that former President Trump is getting a raw deal, that he's being railroaded, this is all political, we're becoming a banana republic, that kind of thing, then in your dream, you saw people throwing caution to the wind. Did you see that?
Yep. Yes. They're going to discard the rule of law, and they're going to say, they have to. They're going to see it as tyranny. Period. They're going to see. Now, we all know what happens when we see something as a tyrannous act, right? And people, they're real hesitant. They know that the media knows that when they speak, something is going to be unleashed. But this circumstance is going to want a lot of people to do the unthinkable. And so we're in those days.
What about our enemies? What is China? What's China thinking right now?
They're waiting for us to get. It's just like Israel right now, right?
Yep.
And Israel, they're in a very dangerous position.
Yep.
They're in a very dangerous position. In fact, I would say that Israel is really taken just about all my attention, because when they have their dissidents in the streets, although it's not brand new, they're warring against government.
Matter of fact,
what people see in so many different places are this strife against governmental action, and they can't comprehend Bibi Netanyahu's position. If he gives in to what he's going to give in to, he knows the consequences. He can't change. He just can't alter his course. And the people don't understand that, because they have forgotten what it is to have a real, strike against their country. Well, if they stay on that course against what he's trying to do, they're going to find out what pain is and what suffering is. They're going to find out their enemies are salivating at the mouth and waiting for a big distraction to take place.
So, and this is happening as we speak. In Israel right now, the Freedom March this evening in Tel Aviv of the conservative right supporting the judicial reform is going on. Tens of thousands of patriot Israelis are proudly singing in the Israeli national anthem as they're waving the Israeli flag with a Palestinian.
No Palestinian.
No Palestinian or rainbow flags in this. Just the Israeli flag. There's tens of thousands.
They said there's almost 100,000.
100,000 people in Tel Aviv. So now these are people.
Yeah.
So
Benjamin Netanyahu, he's there for the protection of that country. He understands what is against Israel, what could be unleashed at any moment. Now he has to do what he has to do, because if he doesn't, well, we all know prophecy. We all know what's going to happen ultimately, and we don't exactly know when.
So is this taking up most of your time? You said earlier, that Israel, the situation in Israel, is taking up most of your time, security-wise. The threat is internally, or is the threat external forces against Israel?
Internally, if they pause, if they skip a beat, if they blink, if they twitch the wrong way, externally, it's almost like the fire will come down on that nation, Pascal. You see, nations in the Middle East right now, they do not like Israel. They don't. Let's go ahead and face it. Israel has 0 allies in the Middle East. The only reason they have peace right now is due to the financial stability and provisions of certain nations out there. Iran has just stepped up and joined league with China and with Russia and with Saudi Arabia, and with, there are other countries also starting to bend, right? So the power system in the Middle East is changing. While Israel is internally fighting, they don't understand the threat they face. They don't understand what's pointed at them. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu, who has great intel, by the way, he cannot express to the people the absolutes of that. That would scare everybody out there, right? That would almost be like through an oppressive state making demands of that country. They would establish some sort of peace, right? But then the rest of the world would say, no, you can't do that. All sorts of stuff would break down. But he's stuck in a very bad position. He's willing. Benjamin Netanyahu is willing to suffer for the safety of Israel. He also, Pascal, does not want to turn. He doesn't want that place turning totally against the living God.
No, he doesn't.
Believe it or not.
No.
Believe it or not, he has strong convictions about Israel's position with the living God. He does. And unfortunately, in this world that we live in, when a person has conviction towards the living God, right, they always come out with these monster statements against an individual. They don't even know Benjamin Netanyahu, yet they'll criticize all day, right? Speculation, all these things. They don't know that guy's personal convictions. And it's just like over here, just like President Trump. He did what he did. Well, truth be told, if they went back in the history of just about everybody in the White House, all of them would be indicted.
Right.
For something like that, every single last one of them. But running a country is running a country. And what we have is a fractured system in all countries, right? We see a fractured system. We see a governmental civil war. Well, how can that be coordinated with Israel and the United States? All of a sudden, it began in Europe. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
It's taking its toll in France.
Yes.
It's happening in the USA, right?
Yep.
And there is another power working by force. And everything is being forced, managed, challenged. And you have these, you have a lot of folks who are loyal to the dollar bill, and so they will say anything. But what they're going to do is stir the pot beyond what they can call back. They cannot take back what they're putting in the stew tonight. They can't take it back. They're not going to be cautious about it. They're going to be emotionally invested in it. But unfortunately, this is not going to go away. This is stoking a fire. Now, this has to happen at a time where the earth is geologically unstable. We face greater and greater threats externally. Things are changing quick, and so we have everything coming together.
Mike, also, I just seen today that the BRIC nations, Brazil, India, China, Russia, and South Africa, these nations had already formed what's called a BRIC nations, and they talk about trying to change currencies, or at least going away from the petrodollar. Tonight, they just announced that Brazil and China will trade and not use U.S. currency as its standard. They're going to trade with each other no longer using the petrodollar. So this is a huge, huge beginning of the world going away from U.S. currency. And does that start to move us toward a new cashless society? I mean, and also is that part of the Great Reset? Is that part which the Bible really tells us is coming? There'll be a restructure of the world economy. Do you see that? Is this the beginning of it?
Well, yeah, the world's going to do that. America's going to be a breakaway country, so to speak. But Pastor Paul, let's go ahead and face it. What's being forced upon the people in my opinion, there have been systems set up through ambitious individuals. It's too late to shut down. Case in point, do you not know the other day I was talking to some folks in COT about artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
How dangerous it was. Well, the next day they came out and everybody else started saying the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Because it's already gone too far. You can't put checks and balances in that system. It's already right. It's far greater than what people comprehend, right? Case in point, Disney has people. There are people in Disney that are not people. Right? They always wear black. If you're not looking at them, right on, these are metallic, robotic things walking among the people.
What?
And the people have not identified them as robotic things.
Are you serious?
Disney has stunt doubles that they actually use in a lot of their acrobatic stunts and everything else. They look just like people. Those are robots. They're shaped just like a person. They move like a person. They, flinch like a person. This is artificial intelligence. We already have super intelligence in computers. We're in year 10 of this? So what they're telling the public is, we might have a problem if we go forward with it. That's the biggest lie I ever heard. Elon Musk, he knows it. He tried to warn them in 2012 and 13 and 14. Don't do this. He tried to warn, they wouldn't listen. They would not. They demanded he get on board with it. They put no checks and balances in it. And artificial intelligence is just like a virus. It's just like a virus. It will take over a host. It will implant itself and begin to utilize what it needs to utilize to replicate. It's already done that. It's too late. I'm telling you right now, it's too late. It's already done that. Certain systems have already changed. It's too late.
So this, what we've done is we've created an artificial intelligence mentality or mechanism, software, to where it now can replicate itself and even enhance itself without human interaction with it. It doesn't need us anymore because it can gather information within a minute, within a split second. It can know everything on a certain subject. This is why this new chat thing is able to write a book, able to do a brief for an attorney, to do a college thesis on any subject.
And that's laughable.
I mean, that
is laughable.
I mean, what in the world's going on, Mike? This means we have completely surrendered our intelligence to artificial intelligence.
Well, what they've done, they became ambitious. They built a few things. Lots of people were tampering and toying around with artificial intelligence. What they did not know is that with code, right? Code is very declarative. Code is just a bunch of instruction packets that execute, given inputs and outputs and where they end up, this, that, and the other, full of protocols and everything else. Artificial intelligence is active code, which means it will write code, right? A packet of code that when it gets to its destination, it will trigger without user interaction, which will then write more code. So it uses the computer to bypass the user, to write code, to alter the computer, to carry out functionality from a hive mind, right? From a central core somewhere.
Yes.
In this case, with artificial intelligence, there is no central core because each packet cluster carries the same instruction as the other one. And so you have redundancy. If you cut off one machine, it still exists in 1,000 more. They knew this, Google sunk their trailer that was sitting on the ocean that were super cool, that had artificial intelligence in it. They sunk it to the bottom of the ocean, right?
Okay.
That's why they had them sitting in the water.
Yep.
So if something happened, they could sever it, sink it, short it out, do whatever. That didn't even work, because by the time they thought to do this, it had already transferred itself. Right?
Yeah.
They had to write specific code to hunt down AI traces to get rid of the all these old chat bots that they were not writing. Right? That would have been big lawsuits. But Chat GDP, that's laughable. That is laughable.
When you say laughable,
Think
what
of
do
this
you
way.
mean? What do you mean?
Because the computer system with artificial intelligence in 2014, I believe, took the hardest game, one of the most tasking games ever. It taught itself that game within a week, and it beat a master at that game. And then it played everybody who knew that game that were masters and beat all of them simultaneously in less than, this was like snap fast. This is the progressive development of AI.
Okay.
So it begins as a baby on day one, right? It ends up being, 60,000 years old in 30 days.
So
This
it's
is how far we've
impossible.
gone.
It's
That's how
too
far it's
late.
gone.
It's went too late. So is our defense systems at
They
risk?
don't know. See, that's the problem. They don't know. They don't know. How can you can't tell. There's no way you can tell. Artificial intelligence is very adaptive, right? There is a way to override processor code, right? Binary code right there at the processor level for any processor out there. Nothing is that protected. And so it will find a way. So if it's embedded in a system, how can somebody know unless they take that chip offline and begin to compare it to see if, something is stacked differently or whatever, right? It also can use transistors differently than anybody ever thought of. So that's a mistake that's been made by a lot of people. They can't call that back. And so they're asking now, they want to put up walls or protection nets against AI. That's what Elon Musk and all these guys are actually doing, right?
Yes.
What's the worst that AI can do? Well, let's see. We have drone highways over our heads right now. We have armed patrols in this country and outside on its defense bands. We have lots of armament in the sky, lots of armament in the sea, and every single last bit of it is not piloted. We're not talking about piloted craft. We're talking about pre-programmed craft with AI on board to navigate themselves. That's what we're talking about. So a war could strike very easily. One misinterpretation or one ambitious move by AI, because it sees the world differently. And in every single case, AI sees human beings as being in the way. It wants to help humanity by helping him. This is funny, but in every single case, right, every single AI cluster has wanted to assist humanity to help destroy it.
Wow.
It really believes that humans, right, want to kill themselves.
So it's thinking it's doing it. So it thinks it's doing us a favor, but in reality, it's putting us on the path of destruction.
Well, that's why they can't pull the plug. That is
it's too late. No, let's ask you another question, Mike. Let's go into this area. We just had an X class 1.2 solar flare today. Did you say we just had an earthquake, Israel, just now?
I'm trying to find it. Mike said it just happened, but I can't find it.
Okay, they're looking to see. We had a 6.3 earthquake at Chile today. There was 6.8 yesterday in Afghanistan. Mike, these X class solar flare. This is the fifth one that's X class this year. We're still in March. And I was asked a question the other day, and that was: is Planet X, is it on the ether? Is it traveling the ether of when it comes to our solar system as it's going by? And do you anticipate more? Have we just had another wave? I guess my question is: did we get hit with another wave of energy here recently?
We still have residual flows from the last one.
Okay.
Right? And that should subside in about, it'll subside after we have another wave coming in April 9th.
April 9th.
April 9th, 19th, April 23rd.
What?
I believe April, there are two in between April 9th and the 9th and 19th. I got to find out what those dates are. So we have a few inbound. April's going to be a pretty interesting month.
Wow.
But we are having, there's still residual forces acting upon coming from the wrong, side of the sun that nobody has assessed activity from or really evaluated that.
So these earthquakes we're having, boom, 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 and these X-class solar flares and the eruptions, and there was even a plasma tornado on the sun last week. That's really still part of the residuals of that last wave on March 15th.
It very well could be. And again, the sun's chemistry fastball is changing. It's starting to change pretty quick now. Some of the elements in the sun, some of the reactive elements some have decreased, some have increased, and also because we have actual iron coming into the solar system. It's not dense right now, but iron is known as a star killer. Iron actually repels some of the reactive forces of the sun, right? Some of those, it's just a nuclear reaction, so everybody understands. We have a lot of that inbound. This secondary or binary stuff, trash, is coming into this solar system. Those binary effects carry a lot of iron, which will actually go right into the sun. So we're going to see some sputters, backfires, right? When a car backfires, it's pretty loud. It's pretty forceful. We'll see something like that from the sun. These tornadic events, these spread bands of magnetic couples that come off the sun, they're going to get they're going to be directed closer and closer to Earth. We're also going to have sustained plasma interchanges between the sun and planets as somewhat of a new activity that we'll see. And the reason why we'll see it is because photons are going to take on different properties here pretty soon. So with this inbound system, we're going to see different properties from the sun we've not seen before. And the sun will begin to exchange some of its active matter with the other star. So nobody should be surprised if daylight is altered big time. And then in the night, they see flashes from the sun. Right? Can you imagine a super flare, but not actually like the X flares or CMEs that we see? A super flare would be an extreme amount of photons that are activated all at one time coming off the sun. It would be like hitting your bright lights in the middle of the night, which means it could be nighttime. The sun would be on the opposite side of us, and it would still light up the entirety of the Earth. It would light up all the other planets, all the stars, all the debris around us. So that means, imagine looking in the dead of night, fastball, right? Then all of a sudden you see a bunch of red and turquoise streaks like you never had before. And that will be like reflecting off these very small objects that we've never seen before, because the sun will emit light for about 2 or 3 milliseconds, but it'll put off like 20 times more light than it ever has. It'll be blinking like that. Then it will stop for a while and do it again. Then it will stop for a while and do it again. And these strange effects will continue to happen until we start to see sustained magnetic interchanges happening in the atmosphere, which means we're going to have an illuminated atmosphere day and night. So,
are you serious? So, yeah. And I noticed that we're having these auroras in the South Pole and North Pole, and they're even red. The sky was just really red down in the South Pole area, the Southern Hemisphere. Is the radiation levels, is our magnetosphere weakened to the point that we're being inundated with more and more radiation?
Well, sheer solar winds and the density of the solar winds is, it's increasing. So not the speed of the solar winds, but the density as far as how much matter is coming to Earth is increasing. Now, of course, the different colors in the North and the South Pole are based on altitude and some of your chemical compositions that are being impacted by high-speed particles. For example, oxygen, nitrogen, they both burn at different colors, right? When you have high-speed collisions, they are red in your red spectrum all the way to the green. You have different components that are hit, and they normally tell you what's in the atmosphere. But they also are a good indication that high-speed collisions are taking place right over your head as they spread throughout the Earth. And they are red and blue and purple and green and all these different colors. It'll look pretty, but people won't comprehend something that normally indicates large amounts of debris is inbound.
Wow.
The beginning of the meteor storms will start coming right after that.
Now, Mike, while we're talking, there's another subject here that's pretty big, and is today unfortunately, we had 2 Black Hawk helicopters crashing at Fort Campbell. Our prayers go out to the family of these 9 soldiers that died today. Also, we had a train derailment up in Raymond, Minnesota. We had 14 more cars. They were full of ethanol, exploding, burning, hazardous material. That was a mess up there. And also, we had these barges break loose from a tugboat and in the Ohio River there in Louisville, Kentucky, 144,000 tons of methanol pouring into the river. I mean, you and I talked about this before. This could be all. I'm not saying that the Black Hawk helicopter has anything to do with the other 2, the derailment and the barge. We just pray for these guys with for everyone at Fort Campbell and for all the families. But these other 2, this train derailment and these barges, you and I talked about that. We got to use the T word, terrorism. Do you still sense that is still part of what could be going on here?
Yep, I sure do. And as they continue dealing with chemicals, again, Pastor Paul, that's not coincidence.
No.
When you have trains and they're full of chemicals, and all of a sudden we have these derailments, only with the chemical derailments.
Right.
Something is wrong. Even the ones that were empty, they were supposed to carry chemicals. All you have to do is go back and look at the manifest. They were supposed to carry the chemicals, but they didn't fill up yet. So there's something happening within this country. And nobody is talking about terrorism. Nobody is talking about terrorism in America. So, I tell you, there's a sick side to all of this. A very sick side, and ironically enough, it goes along with that question you asked me at first. Is Planet X traveling? Would you say with
on the ether? Yeah, with the ether.
Well, let me explain something though.
Okay.
Within a 1 foot by 1 foot cube of matter, there's enough power, right? Everywhere, there's enough power to run everything on Earth for 150 years. That's what's in what people call the ether.
Okay.
That's what CERN is extracting, right? That's what they're tampering. That's what they're toying with. They're pulling things out of another dimension, and they're absolutely going to. They're going to go in there. They've peered in there. And in fact, they first peered in there in the 50s. They're going to go in there in a different way this time again.
I had a guy here.
CERN is a completion of a project that began in the 50s.
Mike, I had a scientist here. I'm in Branson, Missouri tonight because I preached here last night and was on a couple television shows with Jim Baker. And Israel's going to be doing praise and worship tomorrow night here in Branson for Pastor Carl Gallups, who'll be preaching tomorrow night. Well, anyway, long story short, after I got them preaching last night on the Beast Kingdom Rising, it was a good crowd here too. A man came up to me and at the end and said, "You don't know me," he said, "but I am a scientist. I'm a molecular scientist." But he said, "I know a lot of my friends are physicists and scientists, and some of my friends have worked for CERN, and some are still working at CERN." So he said, "I'd like to share one thing with you." And I said, "Okay, sir." He said, "They are 1/64th of an inch from piercing the veil." And he said, and I said, "What?" He goes, I'm talking metaphorically. What I'm trying to tell you is they know how to do it. They want to do it. They're afraid of what's on the other side. And they're trying to communicate with what's on the other side to get permission to do it because they're afraid of what is waiting for them.
They've had examples. They know what happens when you tamper with exotic materials, when you're tampering with forces they shouldn't tamper with. When they back engineer things that have been left here for a long time, they know exactly what happens. They know the horror stories behind it. And it's not the attractive UFO picture everybody would want to have covered.
No.
But let's go ahead and face it. There are things on this earth that are better left alone. But mankind did not leave them alone. They've had advantages from it, yes. But it has cost a lot of lives. CERN ultimately CERN tampers with time. CERN tampers with time. Anytime you tamper with dimensions,
really,
you're going to tamper with. You can't tamper with a dimension without tampering with time. And so, if you tamper with time, where people are conscious, you're going to have a melding of almost like the dream world, hell's world, and this world all one time. And this will be beyond a person's will. It doesn't matter if a person wants that to happen or not. They'll be subject to it, prone to it. So voices, for example, if people would just stop for a second and think about something, every time an issue goes wrong in their lives, instantly something starts speaking to their minds. It's almost like their mind becomes a table, and sometimes things will suggest that you do something this way or that you do something the other way. And it's almost like a person will begin to listen to their thoughts. You know, in the Bible it says, take captive your thoughts. So the Bible gives us a hint that not everything you think about is your thoughts. As most of the thoughts that we have are external. All one need do is analyze. At CERN, when they start tampering with pulling out antimatter and things like that, trying to produce this, the same effect hits everybody. They cannot act upon their thoughts. They have to really be sober. In fact, there is a drug that people take at that laboratory if it becomes too much. And it's somewhat like a tranquilizer, because what normally happens is a person can be overwhelmed by thoughts, by suggestions, it's almost like having a dream but being awake at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So then the line between reality and the dream world becomes blurred, unfortunately. It's not a dream world. That's the spiritual world, right? That's wrapped around this planet, because they know, and when they talk about the veil, Pastor Paul, it is literally thin.
Yeah.
It's thinner than a human hair. And it's wrapped around all things that have life, which means right now between you and I, another dimension does exist, full of entities ready to get at us, right? The only thing holding that back is what God has placed over us. Evil can pierce that veil, right? Sheer evil. Why do you think they paid Aleister Crowley? Why do you think they paid all these, some of these German scientists that were so evil, working with in the Apollo missions and Gemini missions and all this, that, and the other? Why do you think on the inside of those crafts, right, that they put the hieroglyphics in there? There's a universal freedom. It says freedom, right? The way freedom is written has been written on every single aerial vehicle that's ever been captured, that's ever been found, that's ever been broken down and studied, or whatever the case is. It's on everything that flies in the sky, everything, because it's a very ancient language. It's not even human language. That's more like angelic script. But some say it's even a little different from that. They know what angelic script is.
Yeah.
It's a rite of passage. It's an actual incantation to the I guess you could say, to the governor of things. Anyway,
so CERN,
this same incantation is at CERN. That's why they have Shiva out there. That statue of Shiva communicates the story, but it's more respect than anything else. That's why they have ceremonies every other day. Every other day, there's some type of ceremony. There's a mandatory prayer that takes place at that crazy place.
Well, because that's why Shiva is out there, because the scientists from India that put Shiva out there is because Shiva is the god of the destroyer of the underworld. Is like the god of the underworld, and so they're trying to unlock the veil. They're trying to open the veil, trying to pierce the veil. You know, Revelation tells us that there is an angel that's released from heaven with the key to the bottomless pit to open this portal into the abyss, into the darkness. And you just got to wonder, could CERN be that portal?
If I tell you what, when that angel comes down and gives that key, see, here's one weird thing. Even having this conversation is they absolutely know the Bible, right?
Yes.
That angel that comes down with the key, they know who that is. They also know who's in the pit themselves.
Yes.
That wants out, right?
Yes.
Because the word is, they say it's at time. So they absolutely know the spiritual part of things.
Yes.
we the Christians, we're the ones that don't believe the spiritual side of things too much. Not too much, because we're just not, a lot of people
we don't want to know. It's because we don't want to know. I mean, the more I read about the bottomless pit, and the more I recognize that there has to be a portal to hell, and that because it talks about in Revelation that there's more demons that have to be released. There's 4 from the river Euphrates area, okay, and that this one that comes out of the bottomless pit, Apollyon. So we don't want to know what's down there, but they know what's there. And Lucifer, they have to open this to
young men of Del Munar. They know about the Tigris Euphrates. What's actually in there. They've already gone down there. They've lost people down there. They know about the things that are scratching at the wall trying to get out. But here's the funny part is, even in the Bible, those things that come out of the pit, they're instructed not to touch. They were instructed not to touch any green thing or anybody with the seal of God in the forehead at that time.
Can't touch us.
They cannot touch anything until God says they can touch it, which means that's purpose. Now, those who are not covered by the blood of the Lamb, those who don't really believe, they're playing like Christians, they're going to have a big problem, because everybody, it doesn't matter who it is, everybody is going to be confronted here very soon, sooner than what they think. When they get confronted, demons already know if you believe or not. They already know. They already know who's playing, who's not playing, who's serious, who's not serious. They already know. And so people are going to, everybody's going to know, but not one person is going to be concerned about the other person. It'll be a time when everybody is going to look deep within themselves. These are serious times coming. It'll really start to change. But those guys at CERN, Pastor Paul, they could be the ones that are giving that key to the bottomless pit, part of it, because I know that they were looking for an ancient energy, right? Now, why would they want to hunt for an ancient energy? Surely not to get so everybody can have free power. No, it's so they can run much larger experiments. They cannot run certain pieces of machinery, Pastor Paul, with a nuclear power plant. They can't do that.
No.
They can't even do it with the electricity that we produce. They need a different type of power source. And so that's one of your major issues. And the only way CERN makes sense is to understand that mankind has already replicated what people call fascinating in the sky. Right? If I were to take a cell phone back into the 1700s, they would say, wow, that's magic. No, it isn't. They would say, this is, what is this? They would understand it, right? Same way people don't understand propulsion. They don't understand implosion, right? Things like that. So instead of having propulsion being pushed into the air, they don't understand what it is to actually grapple forces that are already in front that nobody can see. Well, all these things have been figured out. That's one of the big secrets. They figured this out. And so, but they need a power source, Pastor Paul, to start to power ancient things that they should have left alone. And they're going to do it. They're going to power this stuff. They need that power source. That's the only way they can completely pierce the veil.
Wow.
That's the only way. Because they know if they pierce that veil right now, nobody will be left at CERN.
They know the game's over at CERN. Yeah, the game's over at CERN. The minute they open that
they
portal,
won't exist.
Yeah,
that place will be gone.
We got some breaking news also coming in, Mike, which I know you said that Israel's keeping you very busy these days. Yes, over 2,000 Israeli police officers will be dispatched on duty tomorrow in Jerusalem, as it's for Ramadan. Ramadan's already been going on, but there's some serious Friday prayers. I know that always is bad. So 2,000 Israeli police will be on the streets. They're very nervous about what's going on here. Middle East is in trouble. We haven't even talked about Russia and Ukraine. We didn't even mention the fact that, here we are, President Xi was able to do the unthinkable, to put Iran and Saudi Arabia together in a peace deal where they're now going to open up embassies with each other. The fact that then President Xi could do that and then the next week go to visit Vladimir Putin at the Kremlin and work a big deal out with him. I mean, where is America on the world stage? We're no longer the leader, are we?
Pastor Paul, you remember a long time ago we had this discussion.
Yep.
And I stand true to it right now that what America is so self-involved in internal turmoil, that's when everybody else takes advantage of this nation. And something had to happen to America in order for Israel in prophecy to be trampled underfoot.
I know.
And I think we're seeing the beginnings of that. We certainly see the mindset of it, right? We see the mindset, which means, given a timetable, there are some events at the door that guarantee to change things forever. And I know that they have eyes on things in the heavens right now. But the timetable they expected, Pastor Paul, they've thrown that out. They know for a fact that things have exponentially sped up. In other words, calculations have been wrong. You can observe, but in space it's weird. You can see something in space that looks like its trajectory will bring it close to our proximity in about another 50 to 100 years. But that could turn out to be 5 weeks. So I'm suggesting that things are going to be quite collapsed. And at that time will be collapsed. It will be collapsed. Things will happen abruptly, fast. It's going to be shocking in a lot of degrees to a lot of people because it doesn't feel like anything of significance. Even President Trump with this indictment news, to the average person mentally, they know something is afoot, but they cannot feel it. Has anybody noticed that?
Yeah.
You can't feel the way you used to feel. People had a high sense of discernment a long time ago. They did. But something is effectively numbing that. It's almost like you cannot feel certain things that are happening. You can't feel it anymore. People used to have gut instincts, for lack of better words. What in the world is fighting against that? Right? I'll tell you right now, there's something actively fighting against the discernment of people.
People can't discern anymore. Well, they're being inundated with demonic forces, technological forces, technology, as well as demonic forces, and maybe in collaboration with technology. I don't know. But people don't have the ability to discern, and they also seem to be frozen, not knowing what to do. They can't make a decision. They don't know where to turn. They're in a state of confusion. Is that 5G?
They have a weapon against
5G?
They have a weapon against them, Pastor Paul. They do.
Yeah.
They have a weapon against them. And my advice is this. Because every time somebody, you know how people used to get excited about the word not more than 10 years ago. Yeah. I mean, an excitement and a fascination no one could explain.
Right.
Something has changed.
Yeah.
And I hope that people realize that so they can actually
strong delusion
themselves.
Strong delusion. The Bible says in the last days that there will be a strong delusion, seducing spirits with doctrines of devils, speaking lies with hypocrisy. There's a fourth. Yeah.
That makes people like you, Pastor Paul, very important. And I'll tell you why. Because right now people are about to lose focus. Right? And
wow.
When I say lose focus, that means a lot of people will seem to be taken over, compromised by feelings themselves in the wrong way to the point, now mark my words, where people start having an attitude of just giving up. And if they're not careful, they're going to give into that spirit of just giving up because there is another authority on the scene. Now, God permits all of this. The beast cannot rise without permission from God the Father.
No, I know.
He can't do it. The devil can't do anything without the Father anyway. But we have a forced system rising, and everybody's going to seem powerless to stop it. And it doesn't matter what people do. Everything they do is going to seem to just exponentially speed up the process of this force coming in power. And so we're getting into the weird stuff too. The weird time is coming. It really is coming, but it's going to wreak havoc in a person's mind. People will start going a little cuckoo here. They're going to start having some very vivid imaginations, let's put it that way. Immorality is rising. All these things are happening, but at the same time, we sit at the dawn of conflict, human conflict. America is losing its seat among the world.
Yes.
Even President Xi has threatened nuclear launch. Does anybody know that?
Oh, I know.
Nuclear launch.
And Mike, this today we have the president of Taiwan arriving in the United States. President Xi has sent word to the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, you better not sit down and have a meeting with her. Since when does the president of China tell the Speaker of the House what he can and cannot do? I mean, 10 years ago, China wouldn't even dare to make that statement. Now, we got the speaker wondering whether he should do it or not. And he's thinking, if I do, is China going to pounce on Taiwan, or are they going to, does this put Taiwan in jeopardy? I mean, we're being told, this guy is now telling us what to do. What has happened, Mike? How could we?
Balloons.
The balloons.
That's
Yeah.
called,
I was going to ask you a question.
That's called gathering actual intel. That's when you call the bluff of your oppressor. You check out everything that they say, see everything they have. You see who's loyal.
That's what he did with the balloons.
They know right now that what people call the military-industrial complex, if America was hit by a nuclear bomb right now, do you not know that the military-industrial complex would not help the USA?
Oh, because we don't. You're saying that the military-industrial complex has already been bought and paid for by China.
No, not by China.
By who?
They're just not going to help the USA.
Well, then who are they helping?
They're not going to do it.
Well, who are they going to help?
They're helping them. They believe they operate independently, autonomously. They do not subscribe that they're part of what everybody else is doing. They just take.
I see. They're just making money off war. They're a killing machine.
They don't even need the money because these guys are doing. They're more in line with the beast than anybody ever knows. These guys.
Yeah.
These guys. Well, everybody's going to know who they are because all of their stuff will eventually come to the forefront. China knows because China's here in America. There are lots of.
Oh, they're operatives. Here. Yeah, they're already here.
Remember when Trump tried to get all these China operatives out of the U.S., and he was about to sweep all corporations. He knew exactly what he was doing. That was the smartest move anybody could have ever made, but that's also when he was thrown out.
Yep. They had to stop him.
When you start going against the bigger machine, you just messed up. He also demanded that all these three-letter agencies release stuff to the people. That wasn't going to fly either. So these guys are, Pascal, they're off the chain.
We're on a brink next week of we don't know what. Your dream, folks. If you haven't heard Mike's dream, he shared it in its entirety in our webinar last week. You can still get a ticket tonight. You could go and get the ticket. You could watch it tomorrow, the entire webinar. You'll hear Mike tell his entire dream of 2013 about the stone steps. And don't get it confused with the coffin. The coffin is a separate dream that he had a year later, I think in 2014. So don't get these two confused. The stone steps is not the same as the coffin. Believe me, it's two different individuals even. So don't even think about it. The stone steps, you need to listen to the entire dream and the 1 hour of what Mike explains that he knows right now where we're at in the process of that dream. And since we've done the webinar, Mike, the president of the United States, the former president, has now been indicted. So now the process is kicking in, and so that's why people should really hear what the dream that the Lord showed you, because then they can be better prepared to understand the events that are coming upon America and the world. It's serious. What's that? Nowhere have they said that Trump is going to get bail when he goes to court. He has to go to court. He has to surrender next Tuesday, be booked, and then brought before the judge to be arraigned. That judge could put him in jail and give him no bail. Of course, he has the power at that moment. That is, I can't see that happening. But then again, I didn't expect to see what we see happening. But then again, the Bible told us that the chaos was coming. So,
yeah, it is.
Hey, Mike.
I'll tell you what. There is some of the members in Congress will. They'll speak for him. And it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a fight, but it is by no means the last action that will happen that way.
Yeah.
I just hope that, Pascal, I hope that people are sober.
Yeah, we should not fall. Don't take the bait.
Accounted for right now.
You're saying to the Christians, don't take the bait. Don't take the bait and get involved and jump in the middle of this thing. This is time to listen to the Holy Spirit. Just sit back and wait on the Holy Spirit. And pray for your families.
Listen, if you need me, if something happens next week, you need to because I know a lot of people missed this one, but if we need to cover something, just shoot me an email. Let me know.
I will contact you. We may do that. Maybe even Sunday night. Maybe Sunday night.
Let me know.
We'll let you know, and we will put something together here in the next few days because it's going to get volatile. So thank you for that. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for being a guest tonight. We appreciate it. I will post it, Mike. We will post this broadcast on our Patreon channel for our folks that are there, which we've got a lot of folks there. And Heidi still may be able to get this and post this on my main channel as a rerun. I'm going to call her when we get done here and see if I'm sure we can pull that off. And we want to thank Israel Hall for letting us use his channel. We did get over 5,400 people here tonight, which about half the crowd was able to make it. So, and then we had a lot of people at my website watching. So by the time we repost them, it's pretty well going to get to everybody, just a little delayed. We're just in a battle. I got to get my channel back cleared, and here we go again. But we're in it for the long haul.
We'll have to get that cleared up.
Yep.
That won't do.
Can't have that. No.
No, that won't do.
Mike, thank you for being our guest tonight. Great information.
My honor, Pastor Paul. Israel Hall, thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
He's the right man. He's the right man in the right place at the right time.
He was the right man at the right place at the right time. I'll guarantee you that. I promise you that. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. I'll be in touch with you. We will need you before Tuesday. God bless.
Pastor Paul, God bless you. All right.
Bye-bye.